I think we lose the ball too often.
Say it again, say it out loud, say it proud and out loud.
And we have to keep the ball. We have to be better on running back. I think that is clear for everybody.
Yes, yes, we do. Say it now one more time, but this time in a different context.
The problem is with the ball. I think we lose the ball too fast.
How many videos have I made where I say our players are allergic to the football? This man has basically come in and said, our brains need to work better. We need bodies that are capable of coping with the demands that we're going to put them under. And they need to be skillful enough to not give the ball away. I wasn't going to talk about this, but this is the road we're on now. There's a lot less interchanging positions. He asks his players to kind of stay in their lane, if you will, but he lets them know when to advance forward, when to come back, when to move the ball fast, and when to circulate the ball. But he doesn't ask them to interchange. You're not going to see Højlund playing out on the wing. This guy could go down in history as better than Pep Guardiola, guys. And I know I sound crazy, and I'm biased, and I am, but Pep Guardiola has never gone to a team that's been struggling, ever. Our new man, Rubin Amorim, has done a lot of talking this morning, and I already knew that was going to take place today, but I didn't know that there would be so many valuable pieces of information or nuggets available in the interview and the press conference. And what we're going to do in this video is we're going to break down things that he said. I'm going to react to them. I'm going to tell you what I think they mean, and I'm going to see if you guys agree with me. What's up, YouTube? Thank you for clicking on the video. Thank you for joining me one more time for this video. I can't wait to get into this. I'm really excited. I've been taking notes like crazy, watching that interview over and over again, trying to break down everything that pops into my head every time I hear his words. So let's get right into it. We're going to start with the first video with this clip.
We have space to grow as a team. I think we have to improve in a lot of areas, the understanding of the game.
We have to improve in a lot of areas. We have to improve our understanding of the game. Football intelligence. How many times have I made videos since last season talking about how our players lack football intelligence, just normal football intelligence? Just simple things, how to move, how to create a yard of space, how to create 1 or 2 more seconds of time so you can scan the field and make the right decision, make the right pass. How to realize when it's time to move the ball quickly or when it's time to backpedal a little bit and circulate the ball because the team is out of shape and we need to buy time to get everybody back into shape so that if we do happen to make a bad pass, we're not getting counterattacked on with gaping large holes in the middle of the field for them to just expose us and get a shot on goal. This is a small sentence that he said, but it means a lot. So here's to hoping that he's actually going to be able to improve our football intelligence or understanding of the game. This is going to take a lot of one-on-one coaching, a lot of sitting down watching video, and then it's going to also take players who are going to be like good students who are going to soak in that information and learn it. This is basically saying that, hey man, you may be skillful, but you still need to be smart and use your brain, and some players may never actually be able to get this part of their game right. Some players are just off the cuff. They play with the skill that they have, and they don't really have the intelligence to become good footballers. Here's to hoping that we don't have those kind of players and that all our players can learn something and improve and become better decision makers, become better at movement so they do know how to create space for themselves. Because in the Premier League, that's the hardest thing to do is create space. There you have less time and less space in the Premier League. So I love this answer. I think that's what he's meant to say, or that's what he was saying when he said that. And also for them to all be on the same page, understand, like I said, understanding when to move the ball quickly and when to step back and circulate the ball because there's something wrong in the shape and we need to circulate the ball for a couple of seconds to buy some players time to get back in shape before we take a risk by moving the ball forward. Let's go to the next clip.
I think we have to improve the physical aspect of the team. It's something that we want to improve.
That is the data. You have to understand that the data to press high, what is the average meters that you have to run without speed run, the sprint. You have all this data and you have to cope with that. So you already know your goal is to reach that. Of course, you play with the ball. Yeah. If you can run a lot, but if you don't understand the game, it doesn't matter. But in the first point, to press high, you have to be very fit and you have to cope with the demands of pressing.
That simple statement that we need to improve the physical aspects of the team means so much. Luke Shaw, Victor Lindelof, Harry Maguire, Johnny Evans, and Christian Eriksen, players like that, just cannot cope with the physical demands of the Premier League. They can't cope with the physical demands of being on a team that's going to actually try to challenge for a title in the Premier League and the Champions League. There's just too many games. The game in the Premier League is too fast. It's chaotic, and it takes a lot of coping with the physical demands. And what happens is, in a team that's trying to win things, you can't be carrying 5 veteran players or more. Those are just the 5 off the top of my head. I'm sure you guys can think of 1 or 2 more that I didn't think of. You can't be carrying 5 veteran players when you're trying to win trophies in the Premier League and the Champions League. It's just not doable, because you're already carrying 4 to 6 young players who are still learning on the job. So those are players you can carry, and those are the kind of players you want to carry. You only want to have about 1 or 2 veteran players that are maybe past their prime that you're carrying, because you want their maturity in the dressing room. You want their leadership around the boys, around the squad members, and you know that they're not going to be able to play every single game for you. I thought Varane was a great example of that when we had Varane here. But you don't want to carry 5 or 6 players of that nature. That's just too much for a team that's trying to challenge for trophies. It's okay if you're only trying to finish in the top 6 or 7 and you want to have a bunch of veterans to help the squad around and they can give you some good games. That's fine. But you're challenging for trophies. Most of your players have to be made up of players that are in their prime, ready to go right now. And then as their backups, you want to have 4 to 6 young guys who are learning their trade, who are going to become your future starters in their prime. And of course, one of those 4 to 6 young guys can be a present starter now because they're exceeding expectations and they're completely in form. And you want them like that because you want them to push the guys that are in their prime to train harder, to get better, to not rest on their laurels and then just start slacking off. You want the young guys to put. I don't want Garnacho to have to be a starter. I want the reason why Rashford's working so hard in training is because Garnacho's sitting on the bench going, I'll take your place if you slack off. That's what I want our young guys to do. And then, of course, if Garnacho starts outperforming Rashford, then I want the prime guy on the bench while the young guy is showing the prime guy how much better he is. That's totally fine. I'm not pro Garnacho and anti Rashford or pro Rashford and anti Garnacho. This is just the way I want the team to be run. I want their competition in every position. And when you have 5 or 6 veterans who just can't cope with the physical demands, that's not really competition, guys. And maybe the one I missed was Casemiro. Maybe some of you think Casemiro doesn't have the physical attributes and abilities anymore to cope with a full Premier League season and a Champions League season in a trophy contending team. Or maybe he's one that you can carry. He's one of the 2 veterans that I said, 2 or 3 at the most veterans that you can cope with carrying, as long as you don't have more than 4 or 5 youngsters. Because again, in a squad of 22 to 27 players, let's say, you don't want to carry more than 7 to 8 players. And most of those have to be youngsters and only 2 veterans or 3 veterans and 4 youngsters or 5 youngsters and 2 veterans. You want the rest of the squad to be all players in their prime, ready to go every game, can cope with the demands, and are not prone to injury, if you will. And if they do happen to get injured, that's fine. That's what these young guys are in here for, so they can cover for them for a couple of games while they get their knocks or injuries taken care of, so they can come back in. This is all about recruitment. I think that we've done not great in the recruiting department when it comes to physicality. This is the reason why I'm against getting an Alvaro Fernandez in for our left back position, and I'm so pro Alphonso Davies. Alphonso Davies is a physical specimen, if you will. This guy is in his prime. He is strong. He's only 24 years old or something like that, maybe 25 or 23. He's one of those ages. He's ready to go. He's going to give you, he's got the energy and the physicality to be able to challenge for a Premier League title and a Champions League. And he's going to need a rest every once in a while, and that's when you have an Alvaro Fernandez come in, if that's who you have. If you don't, then a Terrell Malacia or Luke Shaw should be backing him up. I really hope this is the kind of decisions that our recruiting department makes moving forward. I know we want to be pro young players. We want to get a lot of young players in, and I understand that. But like I said, there should be a limit. You can't just bring in a bunch of. We're not Brighton. We're not here to groom players and then sell them. We're here to groom players, sure, but only if there's already a set-in-stone veteran who's starting every game in front of that young player, so that the young player is not the starter, he's the understudy. You don't replace Luke Shaw with Alvaro Fernandez. You replace him with Alphonso Davies. You don't replace a Bruno Fernandes if you need to replace a Bruno Fernandes with Angel Gomez, which I see a lot in the news. He's great too, but he should be an understudy to Bruno Fernandes. If you're thinking about getting rid of Bruno Fernandes, you don't replace him with Angel Gomez. This isn't me saying we should get rid of Bruno Fernandes, guys. I'm just trying to make a point here. And if you're with me, you're with me. If you're not, leave a comment down below and let me know. If you think I'm crazy and I'm not speaking truth here, leave a comment down below. If you agree with me, also let me know in the comments down below. I love reading your comments. Your comments are why I'm making this video so early. I usually wait till Sunday or Monday to make another video. I found some time. I was excited about the interview. And I love reading you guys' comments. I love seeing the likes and subscribes go up from the last video. So do me a favor, drop a like and subscribe on this video, and let's get to the next clip.
I think we lose the ball too often, and we have to keep the ball.
Say it again. Say it out loud. Say it proud and out loud.
I think we lose the ball too often, and we have to keep the ball. We have to be better on running back. I think that is clear for everybody.
Yes. Yes, we do. Say now one more time, but this time in a different context.
The problem is with the ball. I think we lose the ball too fast. We win the ball, we lose the ball. And you cannot press high all the time. So you have to keep the ball and understand that you have to be in the position to start one play. This is something that with the ball we can press better. So the focus this week also was in that part. If you don't lose the ball, you can push higher. If you are higher, you can press better. So it's like a snowball. Everything is connected.
How many videos have I made where I say our players are allergic to the football? How many videos have I made where I complain about players missing simple passes or just not making right decisions and giving the ball away? It's ridiculous. And I used to watch Eric Ten Hag training videos where all they did were rondos, and I'm going like, okay, I get it. They can pass 4-yard passes. I need these guys to be doing passing drills during training where they're sprinting at full speed with the ball, and then they have to make a 10-yard pass between two dummies or two defenders or whatever. How many times have we seen players just driving and then the weight on the pass is just absolute dog shit? I love that he said this, and I hope that we're going to work on remedying this. Now, the interesting thing to me is that we went from talking about physicality that we need to now playing ability. Because you see, the first section we were talking about physicality attributes, physical attributes, things that have to do with age, strength, diet, just, body. And now we're talking about, and before that, actually, he even talked about football intelligence. So we talked about the mind, and then we talked about the body, and now we're talking about skill. This man has basically come in and said, our brains need to work better. We need bodies that are capable of coping with the demands that we're going to put them under. And they need to be skillful enough to not give the ball away. These are yes, easier said than done. Yes. Now, can some of these things be trained? Let's just talk about skill, because body, obviously you diet, you work out, but I mean, none of that matters if you're Johnny Evans' age. I love Johnny Evans, by the way. I don't mean to pick on him. It's just an easy subject or an easy example to bring up. Luke Shaw, he could train all he wants and eat right all he wants, but if he's injury prone, he's going to be injury prone, not the other word. The skill part is the part I want to talk about. The skill part can be trained if the player has that skill, right? Like in my coaching experience, I train people and some of them get better at certain skills and some of them just don't get better at certain skills, okay? And then you have to realize what that player's weaknesses and strengths are and whether or not that would be beneficial to you or if it's too much for you to cope with, and then you have to make different decisions. That's all I'll say about that. But I think he can help them a lot because that's what he said. He said in the little things, the little details, I think I can help those players a lot. And I think that's what we're seeing when we see those videos where he pulls Manu aside and starts giving him instruction on how to move. These are the little things that could help free them up. Like I always say, create a yard of space, create some time so that Manu can use the skills that he's actually good at. He just needs a little bit of time so he can scan and then use his dribbling and his skills to get him into a better position to keep the ball moving forward. I really am starting to believe in this manager. Let's go to the next clip.
We have to work everybody together, and for that we have to improve the process of recruitment, the data, the profile of the players that we want. But I have to have a strong position on that because I'm the coach. I know how to play, so I think it's all together. But in the final word, as you can say, it should be the manager, not just because it's your right, but it is your responsibility. Because in the end, the results they will ask you about the results is to me.
The recruitment bit right there where he said we have to look at data and improve our recruitment. I think this is one of the main reasons why he fought for and brought his own data guy with him to the team. Not only to analyze the games that the team's playing, but also to analyze any possible buys or loans that our recruitment department might be wanting to bring in for him. His own data guy is going to have his own way of interpreting that data, his own weighting system for certain KPIs, key performance indicators. So his own data guy might think ground covered or distance covered is a little bit more important than passes completed or something of that nature. I don't know because I'm not in that meeting. I don't know what they... For certain positions, it's going to be different things, right? Like he's not going to look at the same things for a wing back that he would look for in a center back. So, but his own data guy already understands what makes Rubin Amorim's teams perform better. So he's going to have his own way of interpreting data, which will help Dan Ashworth and the recruiting department, Jason Wilcox, and their own data guy, and whoever we have in-house, help them understand what key performance indicators, what KPIs to look at it and weigh differently. What is more important to the success for this team and makeup? I really am believing that maybe the footballing structure is going to get better. I mean, he even says in this clip that he wants to have a big say in who's being recruited because at the end, the buck stops with him, right? That's an American saying that means basically all the responsibility, win or lose, comes to the manager's door, the head coach's door, whatever the heck you want to call it. So he has to have a say. This isn't that BS that we heard that like, oh, Erik ten Hag has a veto and Ineos don't like that. Maybe they don't like it as a part of the like actual contract that's on the table that's signed as an agreement. Maybe it doesn't need to be in the contract, but in the end, if your manager doesn't want a player and you buy that player anyway, that is the most idiotic, dumbest thing I've ever heard. Your manager, your data guys, everybody have to be on the same page and understand that if we're in dire need of a certain position, what is important for the manager or for the formation or for the system we're playing in that position, and that we're going after those kind of players. And then myself, as you've been hearing for this video that I said earlier, I also hope we're not going after young up and coming right now. I just don't think we can afford that unless they're coming to become an understudy of somebody else. We already have, let's say, a Lenny Yoro. We already have an Ahmad. We already have a Garnacho. And these guys are probably going to be in starting positions, if not starting very, very close to starting positions. I don't want to have 6 young guys in starting positions. I need to have no more than 2 or 3 young guys in starting positions, and the rest have to be players in their prime, ready to challenge, so that a year or 2 from now, we are climbing up the table, and then we can look at our team and go, okay, what 1 or 2 more players do we need to actually get us to challenge? If we keep doing what we're doing, you're going to keep getting the same results. So hopefully this is a new trend. His data guy is going to help our recruiters, and we're going to start recruiting the right profiles. Next subject.
I choose always 100% our way. I prefer to risk a little bit, but to push in the first moment. If they feel that since first day I believe so much in our way of playing, they will believe too. So there is no second doubts, no second way. It's one way, and we are going to do it. We will adapt some players because you don't have the right profile. This team was built for a different system, but like I told you guys already, it's the same thing playing with 5 or 4. The principles are the same. The positioning is a little bit different. But maybe on Sunday you will see the list of players, the starting 11. You don't feel a lot of change, but you will feel it in the game during the positioning, in the way they receive the ball or to cover the ball. you will see some changes.
This is so different. This is so different than what we've been doing for the last 3 or 4 or 5 years. This is so different than what Ralf Rangnick did. This is so different than what Erik ten Hag did, even what Solskjaer did in the last season that he was with us. In his own words from the overlap, Solskjaer said that he tried to change the way of playing from being more counter-attacking and defensive to trying to control the games more, trying to possess the game more, and then they started losing games. Erik ten Hag comes in, he gets a beat down for the first 2 games for trying to play the Ajax way, playing out from the back, and then he starts going with the long ball, and then he turned into something else. And he even said in his interviews, I cannot play the same way I played at Ajax here. We just don't have the players for it. Ralf Rangnick, didn't take him too long until he said, can't really press with this team. This team needs open heart surgery. We don't have the players to play a high pressing, high octane game. So every manager who's come in has been saying things like, I can't do what I want to do for a little bit less degree, but for a little bit, even Jose Mourinho was saying things of that nature, or has said things after he left too, with complaining about the recruitment and how he couldn't do what he wanted to do. So this is the first time a manager has come in and goes, I'm going to 100% do this, and I'll sacrifice losing and everything else, but I won't sacrifice my way of playing. This is refreshing to hear, because now, guys, if we lose, we can, some of you might still blame the manager, but I'm done with that. I've been done with that, even with Erik ten Hag. Even though I didn't agree with a lot of things Erik ten Hag did, I was done with blaming the manager. I'm going to go, okay, this is what he wants them to do. Sure, there's open gaps, but he doesn't want them to lose the ball. So even though there's open gaps, if our players made smarter decisions, made better passes, they wouldn't lose the ball, and we wouldn't get countered on. But anyway, that was a harder way to play, let's say. What I like about Rubin Amorim's style, it's a lot there's a lot less interchanging positions, if you will. I wasn't going to talk about this, but this is the road we're on now. There's a lot less interchanging positions. He asks his players to kind of stay in their lane, if you will, but he lets them know when to advance forward, when to come back, when to move the ball fast, and when to circulate the ball. But he doesn't ask them to interchange. You're not going to see Højlund playing out on the wing. I just don't think that's going to happen. So it's a lot less complicated to know where you're supposed to be, right? Actually, there's another quote in I think the Gary Neville interview, and here it is.
What is this one idea?
One idea is like to be practical because it is too abstract. One idea is that when the ball is in one place and we are with the ball or without the ball, every player has the same idea. Imagine that one guy receives the ball between the lines and he turns. Every guy in the team knows what to do, and everybody thinks the same. So it's quite simple like that. You can call it like hard work, be professional, all that stuff. But in my mind, one idea, one identity is everybody have the same idea when the ball is here, there, or there. So that's quite simple. In this one idea is to understand the game in the same way, see the game in the same way, do the things in one way.
So right there, because the players are going to be in their own lanes, they're going to know what to do, and it's not going to be chaotic. They're not going to be like, oh, wait a minute, Manu took my spot, so I need to go here, and now what do I... And it takes too much time to think about it. He's going to keep it very simple for them. He actually says the word simple a couple of times in both the press conference and the interview. So he's going to keep the instructions simple, but the demands are going to be high, if you know what I mean there. So the instructions are simple, but the demands are high. Just because the instructions are simple doesn't mean you get to make a bad pass or lose the ball. You still have to be in the right place at the right time, but in your own lane. You don't have to worry about switching spots with Højlund, Casemiro, or whoever else. You're playing your position, you're staying in your lane, but you have to do it at a high standard and perform the way he wants you to perform. I love this. This is like music to my ears, because again, when it comes back to like football intelligence, like we talked about earlier, it's a lot less challenging. The players don't have to be, it's not total football, right? It's not Johan Cruyff's total football. Make sense? Leave it in the comments, guys. If you think I'm wrong and he meant something else, tell me, man. Like, I'd love to hear your thoughts on what you think he meant when he said something. And if I missed something that he said that I should have talked about that I haven't talked about, also leave that in the comments. Thank you. Next clip.
I already had conversation with clubs, so it was quite normal. But what I felt at the time, I felt that this is my place because of all of that things that you said about the moment of this club. I think it's perfect for me. I think I can feel it. If everything is going right here and we are winning, maybe it was not for me. I don't know how to explain it better, but I think it was the right club in the right moment for me. It was very tough to leave Sporting because in the middle of the season, you can say everything. Is Manchester United, it's everything, is the moment, is the club that I want, but you are leaving your guys in the middle of the season. Yeah. So it was really hard, but I had to do it, and I was like so happy. Of course, you can see it in every intervention that I have, but I also felt that is in the first moment a little bit overwhelming. But after 5 minutes, you start thinking about the club, the team, the players, how to play. So it was quite fun.
One of my favorite clips. This is really where he kind of just lets us know as Manchester United fans that this man is in love with the club, in love with the project, and really feels like he belongs here and this is where he's meant to be. I love hearing this. Now, there's a couple of things I love about this, and one of the things that popped in my head is that when he said that if we were in a good place and we're winning titles, maybe he wouldn't want to take this job. And that made me go, wow, this guy really does want to, be known as a builder, if you will. Like, he went to Sporting when they were struggling. They hadn't won anything in 19 years or whatever. And he helped them build again and start winning. And now they're undefeated. Like, he made them a juggernaut in their league, if you will, right? Like, he made them freaking Sporting is now that league's Bayern Munich, and they don't make the most money in that league. He just did that off pure, like, his management, right? His coaching. So what that made me think about is, like, this guy could go down in history as better than Pep Guardiola, guys. And I know I sound crazy and I'm biased, and I am, but Pep Guardiola has never gone to a team that's been struggling, ever. And this guy would rather go to a team that's struggling and make champions out of them. You let me know when Pep ever does that, yeah? You guys, if you don't agree with me, let me know when Pep's ever done that. I don't think so, because it's never happened. You're not going to let me know. There's no examples. And let's see what Pep does after Man City. I thought he was going to leave. He's already won freaking I don't know how many trophies with Man City. It's time to go, bro. Go prove how good you are somewhere else. This is not supposed to be a Pep hate video, Semeex, but it is. And it's going to be. 115 charges. Okay, so in conclusion, all I want to say is that I don't want to blame this manager, and I don't want you guys to blame this manager. If 2 years from now we're still fighting for top four, the project hasn't gone the way we planned, and we're still, struggling in sixth place trying to get to top four in 2 seasons. I want to shift the blame to the people who deserve the blame, and that is our recruiting department, because in 2 years from now, they should have done a better job recruiting players who can actually challenge, because this manager does know what he's doing. I also don't want to hear things from anybody. I don't care who you are, YouTuber or not. I don't want to hear anything about the 3 center back system just doesn't work in the Premier League. That is nonsense. That is absolute bullshit. 3 center backs is not the reason why we would win or lose games. Xabi Alonso runs a 3-back system and has done amazing things in the Bundesliga. What's the name? Inzaghi at Inter has been running a 3-back system and winning a ton of games with the 3-back system. Pep Guardiola, who I just talked a bunch of trash about, has had numerous games where he starts 4 center backs. So he has center backs playing in full-back positions. You might not think of it as a 3-back system, but it's literally 4 center backs starting and no fullback starting in so many games in the last 2 or 3 seasons has he done that, right? So it has nothing to do with if we're having 3 center backs start the game or not. It has to do with if the players are skillful enough, can do the little things that he wants them to do. It's a simple way of playing that Amorim actually uses, but you still have to do everything at a high standard, and you have to do everything like smart. You have to use your brains and do everything in a smart way, and he will make sure that your back is covered with these 3 center backs so you don't get countered on so easily as we used to with our last manager. So I don't want to blame this manager if things don't go as planned. If things don't go as planned, it's because our recruitment wasn't right and because our players are not good enough. And that is that. No more of this sack the manager bullshit until every one of our players has become better, until we have the kind of players where you look at the squad and go, how are they not winning or challenging, right? And you can't do that. You can't realistically tell me you can look at our squad right now and go, why aren't we in the top 2 of the league? You can't. Guys, thank you very much for joining me again. Please drop a like and subscribe. Seeing those numbers go up just excite me like crazy. We only got about 40 likes on the last video. Can we get to 50 likes? So just tap that like button if you're watching this and get me to 50 likes on this video. Thank you so much. I can't wait to watch the game this Sunday. I will try my best to make a video on Sunday night. If not, I will make one on Tuesday night. And you're basically either going to see a video from me on Monday morning your time or Wednesday morning your time. Thank you very much, guys.